Okay, let me check my audio. Last time I did this, I had to redo a video because I forgot to turn my microphone on, my new microphone. So let me turn it this way and we will get started. This is a project I'm doing for a customer, and I thought it would be a good little case study also for our apprentices for a project I'm getting ready to start. So I'm trying to kill two birds with one stone here. And since I'm trying to do that, I also wanted to explain to the customer a little bit more about uh, the phases that we go through in construction and design. We are a design build contractor, so we have to be familiar with all of these different phases. And of course, I worked for 10 years in architecture about 20 years ago. So before I started my company, Artists in Construction. So anyway, right now in this particular project, we're in this schematic design phase, and it's basically we're just modeling. We're coming up with the size and scale. We're trying to do massing. We're trying to compare this this garage to the house, to the home, and then we're trying to get configurations worked out. Heights of walls, doors and windows, locations, that kind of thing. There's not much engineering in this phase, except maybe if someone wanted to hire us to do a feasibility study, we may have some consultants, and there are some structural issues with this project, as you will see. That's one of the reasons I decided to make it a little case study for our apprentices, because it has these elements in it that make it a little bit interesting, a little more interesting than a typical garage. And as far as the effort goes, if you're looking at trying to break down the schematic design phase compared to a construction document phase, it's about 10% of the effort. And moving to the construction documents phase, after this phase is complete, after the owner has given you the go-ahead, they're happy with the layout, the general layout, then you would move into your construction documents. Excuse me, I think I'm coming down with hopefully it's not Corona, but anyway, paper space. In CAD we kind of consider two different spaces: a model space and paper space. When we move into paper space, we're thinking about the two-dimensional space and what contractors are generally used to working with. 24 by 36 inch sheets of paper with floor plans and elevations on them. And you don't work much in 3D space as far as construction documents. You might have a cover sheet that has a nice rendering, but for the most part, you're just going to be looking at plans and elevations in 2 dimensions. But you will get into more details here. You will have dimension drawings. You'll have areas where you'll zoom in on the plan or a section and do a detail, structural detail, or a window or a door detail. And then in the construction documents phase, you would get into the structural engineering, the HVAC, the plumbing, all of that. And that would be about 90% of the effort. So the reason I'm mentioning this is because in some of these videos, you may not know that we're only in the schematic design phase, and you may think, well, there's not a lot of detail, and there's a reason for that. We don't charge as much for this phase, so we can't put the same amount of time. Although I did spend about 4 hours preparing this little project. It's got a tough little site, and I'll show some pictures here in a minute. This is not a very good representation of the house. I haven't even been to this job. It's probably several hundred miles away from us, and this is pretty much an online service for now. If they really wanted us to get into detail, we would go down and take dimensions of all of the existing site, or he could give those to us, and I would go in and confirm a lot of this. And I'll show you some pictures here in a minute. But with this, we're just trying to get a sense of of scale. You know, you don't want to build a 10-story garage, you know, next to this 1-story home. So this will show you kind of the relationship between this new garage, which is relatively small compared to a typical, you know, garage, but he's limited. You know, there's other homes. This is in a subdivision. He's got setbacks he has to deal with and all of that. Sorry, my cords are attacking me here. So let me take a quick break to see if we do have any questions. Not yet. So what I thought I would do, like I said, I did spend a little time prepping this just so it wouldn't take too much time. I've got some of these structural elements that aren't engineered, they're just graphic. And so what I thought I would do is just start this garage out here away somewhere where I don't have to deal with all this stuff over here. So, and then I'm going to get the foundation done. And when I get the foundation kind of drawn, I'm going to tuck it in here, and then I can start work on the upper area. But I know it's basically what I'm going to propose is that this be at least 26 feet long for a garage. And let me get myself a guideline here. And I wish he wants it to be 18 feet. I'm going to draw it 18 feet for now, since this is just the schematic phase. I would propose it be 20 feet, if you can get it to 20 feet. But again, this is what we are looking at now. Now on our foundation, we're going to have 10-inch minimum poured walls. As far as I would recommend for this project. Again, I hate to keep repeating myself, but this is the schematic phase, and if things change during the construction document phase, they always do. So now I know the walls are going to be at least 10 feet high. And so that would be like your basic, this is how we would basically draw. You know, what I might do is just make that a group and then give it just a gray color. I'm going to copy this color that came with that just to give it a gray looking concrete color. Now we would have footings, obviously, and our footings for this would be at least probably, I'm just going to draw them up here in the air for now. I'll lower them in a minute. That would be at least a foot thick, so we'll come up 12 inches, and they would come out, I'm thinking at least, let's just say for now, let's see, I've got 10, that would be, let's just call it 16 inches. I'm thinking about a 36 or so, 36 inch or so footing, and this looks kind of funny right now, but this is the easiest way I feel to do this. Oops. Since this is live, I may have to mute myself and sniffle a little bit. And then what we can do, this is an easy way I found to draw footings. You can just come up here. By the way, I'm excited. I'm using SketchUp 2020. I've just got the brand new version. I have a pro license, so I get the updates, you know, each year or whenever they come out, and I'm excited because there apparently are some big changes. And so all I did was just offset that outer line 36 inches using the offset tool. And then once I had that, I used the push-pull tool here and just took it down, just lower it down to that lower face, and it'll basically just cancel it out, and you'll have yourself a nice footing. And then I can make that a group of its own, just select those objects, and then I can push it down. I can lower it 11 feet, and that becomes my footing for the walls. And you can see it's pretty much centered on there. But again, during the these. I don't like the construction lines get to be a bit of an eyesore for me after a while, so I like to delete them. And then we'll just give it a concrete color too, just like that. Now, here's where we're getting to some different aspects of this job. He was talking about having two things go on here, and that's one reason why I wanted to create this out here by itself. I'm going to create two different scenarios here. One scenario would be where he would want this open underneath. So we're just going to bring these over and push this down to get rid of it. And sometimes SketchUp does that, it won't delete the lines. So you would basically have three walls, and this area would be open underneath so that he could use it for whatever. Now, what I would propose is setting it up for a basement area later on. So that's what I'm going to show. I'm going to show it both ways. And if we've got enough room, I'm pretty sure we have enough room where you would either have a door on this side, and I'm going to show why I think that's a good idea. So we're going to come over about 24 inches, and again, this is just, let's see, we would be up about 6 inches for our concrete slab, and then we would be up 6'8", or we'll just call it 7 feet. Oops. Well, we'll just call it 6'8" for now. And we'll poke a hole there. And there's a reason I'm showing it on the side. It will all become clear later on. There we go. And actually, this would be, I did that wrong. This would actually go down, and the slab would be poured in between that. So that would be like that. And then this one would be open. But I'm going to show you why that this door on the side would work better, or even if you wanted a bigger door than back here, and it's mainly due to this grade. Okay, let me check my comments. Hello, Kingpin. Thanks for watching. So I'm going to go ahead for now. Let's see. I like this idea, although I'm sure he's going to like this one too. And by the way, yes, you would run your footing across. Maybe it's not as big of a footing, but you'd still want this footing to run all the way around, because there's some structural elements in here, and I think you're going to want that footing anyway if you decide to come back and close in that back end. And the other thing is you could still, if there's enough daylight here, and we'll just go ahead and show this third option. Oops. I'm hitting the escape key and nothing's happening. That's what happens when you do this live. There's another option where if you were gonna build this, I'm not gonna do it now. I just want to get moving on this thing a little bit. Maybe I'll come back and do it later, where you would have a little stump wall across here, a little stem wall, and then you would just frame up this back part, and that would save you money on concrete, because this concrete foundation is a little bit expensive, and if you've got windows or doors in this, it's a lot cheaper uh, than doing this, than trying to form in openings. Um, but for now, I'm going to use this one. I like this one. I'm going to make this a group too, because I don't want to have to grab it too much. So I've already made myself a little niche here. I'm just going to stick this up here for now. And I'm going to put this where it, is just below the ground. Let's see how we turned out here. Now, this is going to be one of those things where you just have to make the height of this wall. I'm going to show you some pictures here in a second before I get oops. I want to run this down 6 inches. Well, let's see. I'm just going to leave it there for now. It's not that big a deal. Let me just give you an introduction to the job right quick. I don't think he'll mind. If he doesn't like me showing these pictures, I'll put a black thing over these. But this is kind of how I got the information. And I was going to fast forward to the site part of it. You can see there's this drop off here. I think there's a better picture that shows this. This is pretty much already cut out. But there's a question as to how tall these walls would have to be. They would have to be tall enough to go down here. When you come out the 26 feet, and I'll go back to here, that you can see this flat spot is not it's not this way. This is the way I would propose it be for at least an area. How to explain this? These walls have to go down to undisturbed earth so that your footings are on good soil. So this wall has to be tall enough to get down to that far. So this wall may end up actually being 11 feet or tall or so. So I'm going to run it up at least another foot, because I would want that anyway. And we're going to cut out for the garage door here in just a second. But you don't want your walls that we're going to build, you don't want your walls coming all the way down to the ground, you want some kind of protection here so that your framed walls are up above the grade. And I'll show that in just a minute. But that would be the basic. Again, if we're in design, schematic design mode here. And so one thing I wanted to do, I'm going to go ahead and make a quick slab. Let's see, it would be at least 4 inches thick, and it would be back 10 inches from here, because I don't like seeing that grass through it bugs me. That group, and I'm just going to give it a concrete color too. Everything's concrete for now. And then I'm going to copy that and put it in there. That way it looks more realistic when I'm looking in the basement. And right now, this is what I'm proposing, is that if you're going to go through all this trouble, sometimes, this is kind of a one-shot deal, right? You need to make this garage as big as you can make it. And when I say as big as you can make it, instead of making it 18 by, 24, make it 20 by 26 or 20 by 28 if you can. Because it's not going to cost that much money. What costs you money is all the staging it's going to take to get big equipment down this tiny driveway. Okay? So, and this is really, I'm talking to the owner now. You want to really think about this. He was worried about having room to come down beside it right here. for like equipment and stuff. You don't have to worry about that too much as long as you got room, to get around it. Even if you had to come around to this side of the house, your yard will survive eventually. Okay, you can always fix your yard, but you don't want to build some tiny little garage here and later on be regretting that. So what you want to do is find out where your setback is and run this thing all the way over to the setback, and then see what kind of room you can tolerate right here. Coming over here, I would make this thing at least 20 feet wide if I could. And again, while I'm doing it, I've got to, if you imagine this scenario here, even if you leave the back wall open, is not that, it's not that much less than this. And pouring a slab in here is just another, 1,200-1,500 bucks or whatever. Because you're going to have to, all this area is going to be dug out anyway for this basement, okay, or for this foundation. So that's what you have to think about when you're planning this, and that's what this schematic design phase is all about. Let me check some comments. Good, everybody's happy. So that would be our basic foundation. Now, one thing I forgot to do on this foundation is I'm going to propose that we use. I was going to originally propose to use some hollow core slabs across here, but I actually called a company near where this project is, and it would be about $20,000 to $30,000 just to, again, and this is part of what I was talking about. He couldn't get a crane in here to set the slabs, so he was going to have this 200-ton crane sit out here on the street and boom the things over the house. These heavy concrete slabs, hollow core slabs. Let's see if I can just show you if you don't know what I'm talking about. One thing that's kind of cool about SketchUp is we have a lot of people in the community that draw things and upload them. Here's just a quick example. This, I don't know, that's not, honestly, that's kind of a overkill. Let's see, what about this one? This is close enough. What it is a, this is not a very good one either. But anyway, I don't want to spend a lot of time on it. And it's basically a pre-stressed slab, and they have this rebar. You can see the rebar in them, and that rebar is pre-tensioned, and they have a camber in them, and but you can use them for parking garages, parking decks, and this is basically what this is a, it's an elevated slab, and but after doing that research and finding out the cost for that, I've decided to go back to this other system, which is basically a concrete pan and steel beams. But in any case, I would need a ledge here. So to do this, I'm going to come back. Like right now, I'm just going to come back. 5 inches, half. I'm going to come back half the width of my wall, 5, and then I'm going to go down 6 inches like that, and that'll be our ledge. And this is not hard to do. The concrete, the wall companies are very familiar with doing this way. And then I think my slab I've got here, well, let's start out with our beams. What you would have is, you would have probably at least 3 steel beams across here. So let's just draw us a line from here to here, and we'll divide that by 3. And we'll put this by the middle of it. And we'll make it a little bit smaller. And that would go down. It would have its own pocket. It would be down here like that. But again, the concrete company would form in a pocket so that it would have a place to sit on its own. And so then we would have one there. Again, this is schematic design. Okay, this is not the engineering. Did I put that in the right place? Where's my? Looks like it. And then if you didn't have this back wall, you would have another steel beam across here. If you wanted this open under here. But again, I'm going to propose this be a basement. So now again, I hate to be repetitive, but this is diagrammatic. I'm size these beams based on my experience. Okay, but I'm not going to tell you what size they are because I haven't done the engineering or gotten my engineer friend to tell me what size they need to be. So this is just basically configuring this. This is showing you how it can be done. And this is relatively cheap, honestly, to get an elevated slab like this, because the next thing you would do is bring this over, and it would be poured. Let's see. Yeah, I got it a little too big, but that's good. We can fix that. And well, I'll leave it this big for a second just to show you. This concrete pan is basically a metal pan. Let's see. Let's maybe show you a picture. Any of the comments? Nope. Let's see. Let's call it steel concrete pan. Deck. Some people call it deck. Let's call it images. Here we go. Here's a good picture. You see, it's basically a pan. Let's see if I can get a bigger picture here. Yeah, it's a pan that has this structural elements in it where these, after you pour the concrete, these become like little beams, you know. And so it has a span rating, and this is basically what we would have. This is about 3 inches of coverage. This is a 3-inch pan, and that's basically what we would have there, here, because I'm showing about 6 inches overall depth, which I think gets you about 150 pounds per square foot. But again, I shouldn't even be talking engineering right now because we're just looking at configuration. If the owner says, "Nah, that's crazy. I don't want all that mess." What is all this little stuff right here? Maybe I should have just grabbed all that and moved it instead of. There we go. And so if you're looking at that from under here, see, you would look up and see those steel beams in the concrete pan, the deck, concrete decking. And it's called a composite deck, a concrete composite deck. And I think I need to run this floor over a little bit. I bet that's 2 inches. 2 and 7/8. But anyway, it would be poured basically like that. Now, that would be poured flush. One thing I just realized is we need to find our our garage door. Now this is going to be another thing that I recommend, but I don't think he would go for this. I would make this door probably a 9 foot, but he's showing it as 12 feet. So we're just going to show, we're just going to show it 6 feet. I lost the paint on my foot, my comma, my apostrophe, but so now sometimes I don't do it properly. But we need to wait a minute. Forgot I had a group inside a group. This would also be notched. Where is it? Right there. And this would go. This would be down. With that, and so would, and this would. Yeah. So this really should be this. When I drew that shelf earlier, it should have been lower because what you want is this actually would go down 6 inches. 6. And this would go down 6. And then because this, I forgot how I had, this would go down to flush with your, now you might raise it, you might keep it raised up, you know, an inch or whatever. Probably not a bad idea. Then you could put some sealant there to keep water from running down between your driveway and the wall. But this system, the concrete would be poured. See if I can get that to come out. Yeah. Then your concrete would come out to there. And that would be a nice little transition. And we'll go ahead and paint the end of that. Like that. And now you can see our steel beams need to go down, what, 6 inches? That would be 8 inches. There we go. And we're back in business. And that's what you want. You know, you want this, again, you want this little stump here of concrete so that your wall, so this front wall is not sitting down where water's always running against it. And I'm actually getting into more detail than you would normally get into in the schematic design phase. I mean, I've seen architects just draw a mass like this and call that a house and say, does that look pretty? and they're really just trying to get the size and scale of it. And you say, yeah, it looks pretty. Let's move on. But since I'm a contractor, I can't help myself sometimes. Let me check comments. Check comments. Okay, cool. Everybody's still happy. All right, so that would be basically our foundation. And let's see how much room we would have. 2'7". That's not too bad. One problem I had with this 18 feet was that if you're going to build a garage, and it kind of goes back to what I was saying earlier, if you're going to build it big enough to be usable. You know, if you want to be able to pull a car in here or a truck even, and be able to open the door, but still have room. And this is why all my garages for my personal houses have at least 3 feet on this side, a minimum. The one I'm in now has 4 feet on one side and 3 feet on the other. And I have shelves all the way down the wall from floor to ceiling. And it's this huge amount of storage. I got more storage on that wall than I had in a 10 by 15 storage room. All right, so now let's look at walls, our basic wall, let's just do this. Let's draw us another rectangle here. We'll create ourselves another group. And that group is going to be our walls. Let's see if I can just grab the thing I just made by itself. Group. Yeah, it looks like I did. And those walls are going to be, well, for now, we'll just show them as 4.5, because we know we're going to have 4.5. We know we're going to have a, what did I do? That looks thicker. Yeah, that did not work. I know this is 5. Sometimes the offset tool, you need to be careful. I'm blind, so I can't see. There we go. So he's going to have, we'll have a 2x4 wall with OSB on the outside instead of 16ths. We normally allow a 1/2 inch for it. And then whether he finishes the inside or not will be a different story. So then we would just get rid of this inside face. And now we've got walls that I'm going to bring up to 9 feet 1 if my, wow, if my SketchUp tool, something freaked out. 9 feet 1. The reason I'm doing that is because I would propose using regular studs, 9-foot studs on top of that little stump, and that will give you close to a 10-foot ceiling. But what you need is enough room. He wants an 8-foot tall door, which I applaud. I would never use anything but an 8-foot tall door. You need a room for a header above. You really need at least a 9-foot wall to get an 8-foot door, because you want to have at least 12 inches of space for your LVLs for your door header up here. Okay, so then we know we're going to come off our floor 8 feet. And again, we're just in schematic mode here. So we're just going to poke this in there like that. And I know that he had on his he had some other drawings that he had done, which are very basic, just 2-dimensional drawings. There's no model. But there's a door here, which is a good idea. And then he had some windows. I would probably think about the usefulness of this wall space back here or in this corner. I probably wouldn't put these windows that close to the corner, but I would think about how I want to use this. I would draw in my workbenches. I would think about the elevations of those workbenches. Like I have like some hutches on the backs of my workbenches that would come up above a window, and maybe you could just put them between the windows or whatever. But again, that's what this phase is for. The door, I think, is needed, and that's going to work out well with what I'm going to show as far as a landing here. Let's see, the door, I guess if you were going to have windows, I would probably come over at least, I would probably leave at least a 3-foot space. Let's see, 3, 6. I'd probably leave at least 2 feet here. And then you really don't need a 36-inch door here. a 32-inch door would be fine. And then we would actually be coming off of our little stump. That would be another, is that 8 inches? Okay, not sure what happened there. I must have hit the help button. So this would only come up 6 feet from here. And that would be another place where we have to notch out our wall. Get rid of our construction lines here. And then what we would do is go back come down 6, come over to there, and up. And then this part of the wall, oops, that didn't take. I don't know why. Okay, maybe that worked that time. Yeah. Okay, there. Sometimes you're just gotta be careful where you snap, what you snap to. Okay, so we'll get rid of that. Well, actually, I could have left that. That would be my window height. And then, I guess if you wanted to be consistent, or this could line up over that. And again, we could have a 32-inch opening there, 16-inch, a 32-inch window, 16, and we'll do 4'6" for now, which is kind of a typical. That's a little bit big, isn't it? Again, that's what this is about. That's 4 feet there. Typically your windows end up to be a little taller than your doors as far as the height. Okay, so honestly, if it were me, I would probably just well, we'll put them, we'll just match up this side and then we'll see where he wants to go with that. There's something seems odd. There's something odd about this window. Feet. I'm thinking this window needs to be about 4 inches taller, just to make me happy. There we go. That looks better. You don't want your windows to look too square unless it's part of your design. They want to be like rectangles. The golden ratio, man. It's hard to do. I actually tried to design my last house, using nothing but the golden ratio. It's actually hard to do. It's hard to accomplish. You should try it sometime. Okay, I'm gonna leave that alone for now. I think if it were me, see these windows also. What happens is, let's say you wanted a workbench, which is normally 24 to 30 inches. I would bring these windows over a minimum of 30 inches. And that just gets them out of the way. That's kind of what this kind of shows you in 3D what I was talking about. And that is, I'll just go ahead and bring them over 10 inches from there. That gives you a little room for your window trim. However that's going to work. See, and then if we can get this stair to land at the bottom at the right place, I don't know if we can or not. We're going to check that in a minute. This door might have to go around to the back. But that's going to be one of the next things I work on after I check comments. Let's get rid of that. No more comments. Okay. Let's do a quick roof. And I'm assuming, I know that his roof is hipped, and again, this is not an accurate representation of his house. It is kind of accurate in the respect that there's this garage, and it's probably close. And my dog is in there sneezing. But what I'm going to do is I'm just going to show graphically here. I'm just going to pull this up 6 inches to represent the fascia board. And then I'm going to make another group. We'll make my roof a group. Speak Italian while I'm drawing. Group. And then this is an easy way just to draw a graphic roof, just a graphic representation. I like 2-foot overhangs, but this is kind of small. This is kind of a small building, so I'm going to show it as a 16-inch, which is pretty common for. Now me, my last modern house, I had 30-inch overhangs, and then I had these big 6-inch gutters on the horizontal part, so the grass wouldn't even grow around the edge of the house. It never got rained on. My walls on the outside never got rain on them. It's kind of funny. So then for a hip roof, it's not too bad. You just come over, find your center point. What is that? 20 feet 8, so it should be 10 feet 4. That's right. And then you would come back 10 feet 4. Where's my phone? Let's see. Well, that'll depend on the pitch. So let's decide. Let's decide on our pitch. I think the pitch, we'll just draw us a gable roof here to begin with. Let's see, what would that be? 10. Let's see, if we went with a 6, a 412 is pretty common. Let's just do 4. So that would be 40. How far was it? So if we had 10 feet 4, that would be 40 inches 10 feet. That would be 10 times 4, 40 inches, and 4, which is about a third. Let's just say 42 inches. That's a nice round number. We'll see what that looks like. 42. We'll get ourselves an idea of what that will be here right now. And one quick way to check that is just draw yourself a horizontal line, 12 inches, and then see how far it is down. And you can see down here in the bottom right hand corner, I got pretty close. That's 4 1/16. And again, I'll just go ahead and draw that line for you. And if your pitch is basically, when someone says 412, that means for every 12 inches it rises 4 inches. And that's just a quick way to, if you've got a 12-inch level, a little 1-foot level, you can put it on your roof and make it level and then measure down to the roof, and that's your roof pitch. So again, we're in schematic design mode here, so we're just gonna go with that for now. And so we would come back the same distance. It probably would have been easier just to do it this way. Have a little ridge at the top, a little tiny ridge. Come up to here, go over to here, come down to here. Let's see if I can get this to where you can see it better. I'm just going to go ahead and delete this little gable because that's not what we're doing. I just wanted to check the roof pitch with that gable. And let me delete that little line. I don't like unnecessary lines. There we go. Now, I don't like that. Honestly, I think the pitch probably ought to be a little steeper. And again, you don't really save that much money. Oops, I didn't mean to do that. What I meant to do was, let's just delete all this and start over. So if we were going to have a 6, that would be about 5 feet, a little bit over 5 feet. So let's just go up, let's see, 50. Well, it would be 50 inches. Let's just make it 6 feet, see what that looks like. 6 feet. And we'll go over to here. And this is probably going to be a little steep, but I just want to see what it looks like. Yeah. Again, I'm assuming the owner will watch this, and this is one of those things. This is where the rubber meets the road. I don't think you want this garage being taller. So we really want to know the height of our existing house, and it's probably taller than this because I'm just guessing at the side. I know the house is bigger than this, so these roofs may be a little taller. And but I don't know. So I'm going to leave it like that for now. The 412 seemed to be a bit. Let's go back and make it an actual 512. Let's just be accurate here. And I'll get my calculator. Hey, I wish I could do all this stuff in my head, but let me just use a calculator. Get the right phone. Got the wrong phone. So that's what you would do is 10.3. 10.3 times 5. 51.5. So we'll just do that. We'll delete this. Is that right? Yeah, 4 foot 3.5. We'll go over here. And this will be our 512, which is kind of a little bit steeper than standard. I think that's actually the ticket. I think that's not too short, not too tall. But again, when we go into construction document mode, what I literally do is I literally go in and draw the rafters. And you would see, and I sent the owner a, let's see if I can find that right quick. What job was that? That was, and I've got a video on this particular project. 2020 projects, garage. I sent him this picture where you can see I go in and literally draw the rafters and the studs and all that. That's construction document mode. And that gives me my exact height on everything. Because honestly, this roof doesn't sit exactly on top. It would be dropped down a few inches. It would come down a little bit, probably even 3 inches from the walls. Because your bird's mouth on your rafter sits down on the wall. It doesn't sit on top of it like that. That's just an easy way to draw a hip roof. Okay, so now when you're talking about configuration, let's check our comments. No comments. Okay. So when you're talking about configuration, one element that's really important are your stairs. So what we're going to do is we're just going to come in here and draw us a little platform here as if we were, that would be probably, 10 1/4. Let's see, where is that? Yeah, something like that. Let's make that a group. It would be at least 3 feet wide, probably 40 inches. Be nice, a nice width. Well, it depends on how you build it, but anyway, then it would come over here, and then you'd probably want to run it past the door at least 10 inches, at least one tread, excuse me. And then what you would do is get your, and then that would be dropped down at least an inch below the door. Well, let's see, that isn't the yeah. It would be more like down here. We'll just put it right there for right now. Except it'll be about an inch above that. One. There we go. Again, trying to resist the urge to get too much detail going here. But so what you would do is you would find where your level is down here. And we'll just use the bottom of the wall for right now. So we would measure our rise, which is 10 feet 4. So I know that's 124 inches. And I would find out 124, I would divide that by 7.5 inches first to see how close I could get to 7.5. 16 risers, so I'm going to have 15 treads. So I can take that 124 and divide it by 16 to get the actual 7.75. That's too much. You don't want a 7 3/4 inch is the maximum rise, and that's flirting with disaster or a code violation. So what you want to do is add a riser. So I'm going to go 124 divided by 17, which will give us 7.29, which is a lot more comfortable. So then what I do is I come in, and this is just basic layout here. I'm going to come, this at 7.294, which sounds like it's, 5/16. What's 5 divided by 16? Yeah, it's somewhere between 1/4 and 5/16. But I'm going to draw myself a 10-inch tread. Why is that not? There we go. Oops. I'm going to go down. What was it? I just need to remember. Dang it. Well, I'm going to have to go up to here now. I'll make myself a little box. Make that a group. I'll make it come across here. And then all I got to do is move this down to where it was going to be before. Where is it? Right there. And then I can get rid of that construction line. And this is an easy way to block out your stairs until you get the configuration. You don't want to go into, I'm going to say times 16. You don't want to start drawing actual stairs until you get this, until he says, yeah, I like where those stairs are. And you see how close these stairs land now to that door. And that's why I was hesitating to move it over. So you could actually get by with moving the door over. I keep forgetting. Let's break that. Let's break up this group. It's about to drive me nuts. I keep having to double click on the walls. So I'm going to move this. What? I'm going to move this door over. There, and you can get by with that. I think, yeah, I think that's what I would do. The reason I was putting it around here is because you're on a slope, right? And this part of the grade is going to have to be leveled off anyway, or it's going to be cut out anyway. So you could dig yourself out a level spot here just to have a landing coming down, because otherwise if you put doors back here, you're gonna have like a deck, or you're gonna have to grade the ground and it's gonna settle. it's gonna be problematic having doors back here. You could put windows around, whatever you want to do. But if I was going to go through all the trouble to put this steel pan and these beams up here and that deck, I would go ahead and have this as a basement because you're going to be paying for this space anyway. And this is instant shop space down here. This is man space down here. And I probably would make this door as big as I could get it. I might even make it 3'6", 4 feet. But those are the basic elements. Now I know there's a deck on the back of the house here, so these steps could be incorporated. Maybe that if you end up making this garage 20 feet wide, which is a good idea, you could, this landing could come over. All this could be worked in together, or you could just keep it separate. And that's your kind of schematic design phase. Now what we'll probably do, we'll have to go back and forth a little bit and talk about window openings and that kind of stuff, door openings, configurations. Now if you wanted to see one of these with just this, let's do that right quick. What's the easiest way to do that? I'm just going to copy this whole thing and push it over. Let's move it over 150 feet. I like to know how far I moved it in case I want to move something else. I can just move that one thing 150 feet. And then what I can do is replace this foundation. Let's see, all I gotta do is replace this one, this part of it, with that, and then I can delete this one. And then, actually, that's silly. It would be easier just to alter this one. I forgot about all the notching I did. Now this is where your layers start to come in, because I want to be able to turn off things. And I probably should have done this before I copied it. But what I want to do is I want to be able to turn off this upper part to be able to work on this lower part. But I think I'll probably survive here, so let me just take this over 10. And I'll draw myself a line. Because you wanted to see this, what it would be like if this was, something didn't work there. Let's try that again. Something got funky. And the thing the reason I was hesitating is because they changed 2020, SketchUp Pro 2020, which I'm not exactly sure I'm a big fan of already. I'm just going to call this second floor walls. Turn that off, and then I'm going to have a roof. They changed it from layers to tags, and if you've been doing CAD work like I have since 1984, uh, that's a bit annoying because uh, layers has been something that we've always had, and that's the terminology we've always used. So we're going to call this poured wall, or we're going to call this foundation walls. And we're going to call this slab upper. Turn it off. We're just going to put this in with the slab for right now. Slab upper. Alright, now I can work on this and see why it's not acting. Oh, something went haywire in here, didn't it? I know what happened. I pulled that over. I screwed that up whenever I have to fix that. And you gotta be careful what you're doing. When I moved that door over, I grabbed that inside corner. So now I gotta get rid of that. And I'm gonna pull this. Am I in there? Yeah, I gotta pull this back down straight. Now I need a lower slab. I need a slab lower.
We're leaving. Alex and I are gonna go to the K after lunch.
Okay, I'm live.
Oh, sorry.
I'm vlogging here. Slab lower. Slab lower. Not that anybody's watching. Some of this is boring. I admit. But I'm trying to do this for the benefit of the owner. And this is the line I screwed up earlier, right there. That should not have been there. I'll have to go back and fix that. Well, I'm just going to copy this foundation back over. That should go there, and that's fixed. No more weirdness. And then I'll copy this one back over to there. Before I change this one. And this is what I was talking about earlier. Since I moved this a particular distance, let me get rid of those construction lines first. Now I can just copy it. Now I can just copy this back 150 feet. So I can copy things back and forth between them now that I know what's the size. And just to keep this from being so cluttered, I don't need, I'm going to delete these. Got too much going on here. We need to get rid of some of this. Because I think what he wanted to do is to be able to have just an open area under here. Now, let's see if we can go in here and this all will be peaceful. Let's see. Let's see here if I delete that. But it is helpful when you get, if you go into a slight amount of detail, some amount of detail in this construction or this schematic design phase, because if you do go forward, you're very much prepared for what you'll run into. And now I am realizing now that this notch will need to go all the way back because of our steel beam. If you want that open back there, you would have an additional steel beam. So what we'll do is turn on our floor slab, our slab upper, and we'll copy. This will also show us that I had that selected. This will also kind of show you what kind of detail would be required to finish that back there, because your upper wall would probably, what you would do, yeah, this slab, let's get rid of this little line. Oops, it didn't like that, did it? We'll just leave it there then. Just have to bring that out to here. We'll have to bring that up. Let's see, but except it would be back a 1/2 inch. Actually, yeah, 1/2 inch will work. And why won't that come out? Sometimes it's just somebody else drew this floor, this composite floor deck, so I have no idea. So I'm gonna have to grab it, the whole thing, and move. It'd be 4.5 inches. That makes sense. And then that beam would support that slab, and then your back wall, your upper floor walls would be built and I'm going to say this beam's probably going to need to sit back. It'll sit back too. It'll be sitting back to a 1/2 inch, also a 1/2 inch. Okay. It didn't go a 1/2 inch back, did it? And then these walls, again, I'm getting into too much detail here, but I just want to show the owner how this would work if he, am I editing that wall? Yeah. Actually, you could just show this. Let's undo that. You can just show well, no, you would have to, and again, we'll work this out in the details, but this wall would be sitting down on top of this slab. This part of the wall would, like that. And then it would actually, it would come down, all the siding and everything would come down to cover up that that beam. So you might have a little, And this would, technically, this would go over. You could work it out to where this came down to here to cover that, like that, if you want to. Again, details for later. So that's kind of what that would look like. Let's see, where's our roof? Turn that back on. Slab lower. Now on this, in this mode, you wouldn't necessarily have a slab, or you could, but I think what he was wanting down here was just like an open area. And in this case, you wouldn't need the door. You could leave it there for easy access in case you did have the situation where the slope came down, pretty quickly. You wouldn't have to walk down and around this, corner. But again, these are all the issues that this schematic phase brings up so that you can deal with them. So what I'm going to do is, how long have we been going? When did you start streaming? Oh, let's see. I started streaming, seems like it's been at least an hour. Where is the, what does it tell me on YouTube's? Oh, shoot. It's been about an hour, I think. Osam Seer. Is that, I don't know what language that is. Osam Seer. Is that Nature Designing Studio? Hello. I think I've been going about an hour, something like that. But if you're just now tuning in, this is a single car garage project we're doing. And it's not that, it's not complicated, but it's not your typical situation. We got this house that we got this weird site that we're dealing with here. It's got this sort of steep slope, but it does step down, so there won't be a lot of cutting on it. You can see this part's pretty much already cut out. And I'm assuming the garage will be past this little ledge right here where it kind of breaks. But you see, I tried to mimic this flat area down here with this design. And we're just in the schematic design phase. So I'm just trying to show layout, size, scale, massing. And then once we get into our construction documents phase, I would go into more detail. I'd show materials, siding, windows, doors, handrails. I would draw these stairs for real. These are just blocked out. These are real. This is the actual length and height it would take to put this stair in, but it's not. It's obviously just kind of cartooned out. That's what I call it, just to show where they would land and how the doors might work. So, and in this scenario, he was thinking about leaving it open underneath like that. I'm not sure if he was planning on pouring a slab or just leaving it earth. And I don't think you could grow grass under there. You'd probably have to put gravel, pea gravel or something. I don't think anything would grow under there. It might, I don't know, moss or something. But that kind of gives you an idea. But I should be wrapping this up pretty soon, and you can go back and if you want to be bored to death, you can rewatch this. I'm just kidding. But I think I am going to cut it off here because what I have to do is I have to print some drawings I have to make some JPEG images. One thing I am curious about is why this foundation I know what happened. I copied this. Those lines aren't supposed to be there. And then let me fix these layers. I was kind of lamenting that SketchUp made some changes. Is that my second floor walls? Let's turn those off for a second. Trying to find out what these little gremlins are in my slab. Let's make this foundation wall. So let's turn that off. And let's go in here. I think what happened is I copied that slab from the other one. There we go. It was showing through the wall. But yeah, that looks better. And what I was mentioning about this back wall was that in my shop, my garage, I have that whole back wall as, you know, tool bench and shelving. So you might want to think about where windows might go. Honestly, if you have a garage door that has, windows or lights in the top, and then you have these two, and you have this door with maybe a half light in it, and you have these two windows, really don't need, this is a small garage, you don't need a bunch of windows to be able to see in there. And it's kind of small, so I would actually lay out all my shelving and all my storage before I start, peppering these walls with windows and doors. You want this thing to be useful. You don't want it to be just something you can just park a car in. You want to be able to use this thing for real work. Okay, guys. Well, I think I'm going to cut it off here. And I have some other work I have to do for this to get it to the owner. I have to print out some drawings and some JPEGs. Let me check to see if there's any other questions right quick. If there's no other questions, I'm going to cut this off and then get some other work done, and because I need to send this to the owner. But I do want to thank you for watching. I appreciate all those people that came in. It was a work session, and I am kind of cheating a little bit, so I don't have to edit a video now because YouTube will make a video for me from my live stream. So that's basically why I do these live work sessions, is for the owner's benefit, and so that I don't have to spend too much time editing, which I could spend as much time editing this video as I made the video, and I usually do. But anyway, if you need any help like this, you can go to atdrafting.com. This is what I do professionally. I'm a design build contractor. This is our next little house project right here. I'll be making videos on this. It's a modern home, and but we do these small projects for people too. Here's a garage project, 2-story garage project we did. We're getting ready to build it now, but we do online work for people like this. This fellow lives several hundred miles away from me, and I'm helping him with design and details and probably other help. And but you can go to atdrafting.com and get an idea of the other stuff and that we do and the services we provide. And thanks for watching. Now, where do I turn this thing off?